Record on this. Good morning. End of the year Newton Insider 2023. Even though we're doing it on Zoom because 'tis the season, I wanted to make sure that the year didn't end without us talking about what happened and what our expectations are for 2024. So I'll get it started. The interest rates, January 2023, were 4.25. The interest rates now are like 6.75, which is like woohoo. And the interest rates peaked in 2023 at 8%, a little bit over 8. Arthur,
Doubled.
what happened and where are we going?
So what happened was the people that needed to buy a house bought their houses with 421 homes sold. So that's a good thing.
And that's in Newton. We're talking
Yeah,
about
this is in Newton.
Yeah.
Yes, this is Newton single family, not condo market, strictly
Yeah.
single families. Wow, that just bounced. Okay.
No,
And,
I'm gonna show the data as you're talking.
Okay, great. Thank you. So right now we have 63 homes available for sale, but throughout the entire year, we took 652 listings we're taking. And out of those, we have sold 421, like I mentioned. But last year we had 702, and in 2019, we actually had 831 listings taken for sale. So, we're down 180 units to be able to sell for 12 months. Thus, our sales are down. So we have 421 homes sold, but in 2019, we had 563 homes sold. So that's down 130 homes. However, our appreciation in the average sale price is up, of course, but it's decelerating. I don't know if anybody has heard that term before. It's not depreciating, it's decelerating. So our big jump was from 2019 to 2022 with a $500,000 jump. Last year to this year, we've only increased 50,000. So we're only up basically 1% over last year. So it's slowed, that appreciation has slowed right down.
Well,
What hasn't slowed down,
we saw it, almost 20% appreciation during COVID. So you can only keep going up and up. So yes.
Right. So is it
it's
more
only
normal?
sustainable
Right.
for so long. Plus that interest rate going up to 8% this year really slowed everything down. So
the prices are holding.
The prices are holding.
Correct. Prices are holding.
Yeah.
Right. There you go. Exactly.
The expectation, the predictability for what we're about to see is that the prices are still actually going to appreciate, just not 20%. They're going to appreciate between 2 and 5%. And as we've seen, it's also going to depend on the price point. And I think that has been one of the biggest topics this year, right? Is the price point.
Price point is a big factor.
So Val, what are you seeing in terms of the difference in activity between different price points?
So it's interesting. So the higher end is definitely, I think, has been affected the most. However, when that house does hit every single thing that they want, the buyer is going to buy it. I do find they're taking their time.
Yeah.
They are not rushing into a purchase, which is nice. It's nice to be able to make sure that you love the property. I'm finding that to be the case. And then the sweet spot of Newton, I guess I'd say 1.2 to nowadays 2 million. 1.2 to like 1.5 is what I was going to say. That is flying off the market. That is not lasting. You're still getting multiple, maybe not 20, but you're still getting multiple offers. It's really such a good time for buyers. I don't understand why they're not buying right now. I feel like there are houses out there. I am talking to loads of sellers that are getting ready to put their house on. I feel like they've adjusted to the rate. So 7%, I know it's a little high, but it's high, but it just doubled. So that was a little bit of a shock for people.
Every point increases your mortgage by 10%. So if we were, at 4% and literally January, and then June we are at 8%, that is your payment has legitimately doubled. And it
so your buying power has come down. So it was an adjustment. So for what I found was people that were like really stretching to get into a home, that hurt them the most.
Mhm.
The other people just made the adjustments. They're like, okay, well, this is what I'm comfortable with. Maybe I will stretch it a little bit. In Newton, I find you're always going to have people that want location, location, location. That's always going to be the case. Location, price, and condition. So we've been very successful with getting things sold that we've had on the market.
The sales were down this year, and I think that's really important to differentiate. The sales were down this year because there was no inventory. The
Yeah,
sales
do you
were
think-
down not
yeah.
because there was a lack of buyers.
Right.
A lot, we talked about before we got on is, there's the move up market, right? There's the
Mhm.
people that are in their starter homes at lower interest rates. They all refinanced. And
Mhm.
now, even though they're like bursting at the seams and they
Right.
need to move into a bigger house, they can't because they're at a 3% interest rate. And to go into a 6, a 7, or an 8 would be unreasonable. But as the rates come down, that I think pressure is gonna let go, and people are gonna start
Right.
selling the starter homes, which is gonna help the entry point in Newton or Brookline or Needham or any of the surrounding towns, right? And then
Mhm.
those guys are gonna be able to buy the more expensive homes and then
Mhm.
the inventory. But I will tell you, 3 houses over $4 million went under agreement in the last 5
know.
days in Newton.
I know.
Wow.
And one just came on, right? I know.
Yeah. So, I
Uh,
mean, there's
mhm.
definitely things that are moving, but it's all supply and demand. I always say whenever you're lost in the real estate market, you just think about supply and demand and follow supply and demand, and you'll figure out what the pricing is. Okay, so 2023, let's just walk the audience through. We started with 4%. We really peaked. Inventory was down. The
Mhm.
high end was a matter of absorption in terms of, if you've got so many houses finished and on the market that sold in the last 12 months and they're all on the market at the same time, it's going to take a little bit to get absorbed. Let's talk about seasonality. I think seasonality came back in 2023, don't you think?
It
Yeah.
definitely
so-
seems to, a little bit.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe it's not back to what it was before COVID, but it's definitely changed from the last couple of years,
Mhm.
Right.
right? The
I mean-
seasonality returning.
I mean,
Yeah.
there are things like you said, 4 houses that went under agreement in the high end market in December. I mean, that happened to me, was it last year, where normally we would say, don't put your house on the market in December. Maybe it doesn't matter. And even though seasonality is a factor, I guess it depends on the house, the
Right.
condition and the
I
location.
think also we've really changed. I think what COVID has done is
Mhm.
we've changed how consumers are looking at real estate. You can sit in your living room on your vacation in the Caribbean and or Florida and be looking at what houses are on the market. It's instantaneous, or they
Right.
come on, you see them immediately, and you go out there. That's why first impression is everything. Good
Photos.
photos, video.
Mhm.
No, but
Speaking
I
of the
would
luxury
say,
market and the buyout
sorry?
market, a couple of things, sorry. Speaking
ahead,
of the luxury
Arthur.
market and the buyout market, I think those people started at the beginning of the year
Yeah.
and they watched the market go.
Yeah.
So, and this is why houses are selling in December, because they don't want to partake next year in 2024. They're like,
Yeah.
okay, this is what we have now. Great. We'll pick one of these. There's no competition because everybody's thinking about the holidays and the new year and school vacations. So these are sitting. Now I can approach the seller directly and negotiate at the higher end when earlier in the year I wasn't able to. So I
Right.
think that's what's going on, because overall that list price is 2.3 million overall.
Mm.
But right now that average list price is 3.4.
Wow. In Newton,
right.
well, we're being diluted by all the high end that's
High
sitting
Right.
in
So
the
luxury market
Yeah.
is what's left. You know, when I say luxury market, I say over $3 million
Yeah.
is the luxury market in Newton.
Right.
So, yeah,
So I want to show you, you can see my screen, I think. The average number of offers received on the most recent closed sales. And this is for October, okay? So you can see that during the COVID time, we were approaching 4 being an average. So what that would tell me is like, we can be as high as we've seen homes 6, 9, 10 offers, and then we've seen homes with 1 or 2. But then in 2022, 2023, it's come down a little bit, but really not much. And I think all of it is being driven again by lack of inventory. And I always told my buyers, the fall is a great time to buy.
Oh, I agree.
So is August. I mean, if you look at the inventory and what happens to it, so we just talked, I think a couple weeks. I think currently there are 70 something homes on the market in Newton. Arthur, you might know the exact number. How many houses are on the market right now in Newton?
63.
63, thank you.
63 homes.
But in 2019, pre-COVID, there's about 90 at this time. And what happens is a lot of these houses get absorbed, and then by like January, February, and then new inventory comes on. And I think in this case, there's much less inventory now to get absorbed. And now we're going to move to the prediction part. My prediction is we're going to be slammed from January to May. Do not wait for the rates to go down too much. You're going to be too late. We'll go in a circle. Arthur, Sue, Jen, and Val, your predictions for 2024. Arthur.
Yeah, absolutely. I think 2024 is going to be on fire, and it's going to be fast and furious. I mean, if we have a day like today, beautiful, 35, 40 degrees, no snow on the ground, spring market's going to start January 10th. It's not going to start in March. January is when you want to put your house on the market. Absolutely. There are plenty of buyers out there that were really frustrated after this year. They're ready to go. They're pre-approved, they're ready to go. And they know that this is going to be a crazy market. Also, the Feds are going to cut the rate, 3 times at least?
Well,
Right.
yeah, the rumor on the block is,
Right, that's what I've been reading.
Yeah.
So everybody's going to be able to jump on that as well. So get the house you want, and location you want, and get the get your local realtor involved. Okay, don't try to do it yourself. It's too difficult. Ask the professionals. We're here to help you.
It's too difficult. Thanks, Arthur. Sue.
Yeah, I think we are going to see a lot of movement, Marsha. I think there are, as we've talked about, so much pent up demand, but people that are sitting in those starter homes are so tired and they hate their space. And I think psychologically, when the rate goes from say 6 to 8, it's crazy. But when you start to see it coming down from 8 to 6, you're like, wow, that's a big improvement. So I think we're going to have some reverse psychology on the rates. And as a result of that, I think people that are sitting in homes that just don't work for them anymore, they've had babies, they've had to relocate, whatever, and they stuck it out for a while. I think we're going to see them making changes. So that's going to increase the inventory for us, which is awesome.
Yeah. All right, Jen, what are you expecting for 2024?
I think for first-time home buyers, with rent prices going up higher and increasing, I think you're going to see a lot of people wanting stability in their housing costs. And I think we're going to see a lot of first-time home buyers this year.
I agree. And look, the reality is you can always refinance. You just can't refinance. Hi, Chris. Welcome to our Newton Insider. We're recording. Val, what do you think for 2024?
So I am fielding a lot of calls from sellers that do have interest now in putting their house on the market. So that I think is going to be, I think, like you said, inventory is going to increase. And with the either adjustment to the new interest rate or them coming down, people are ready to buy. I mean, they don't have the tolerance to not buy. If they're anything like me, they want to constantly be shopping for something. But they do have a need. And I agree I think Arthur said this. Go with your need, because if you find the right house, buy that house, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Don't say, well, I don't want to buy it, even though it's the right house, because it's not September or October. If it's the right house, do what you can with your agent, your skilled agent that can help you get that house and put your house on the market. So I know a lot of people that are looking, that we're just like weighing, do we sell and downsize because our payment is less in this huge house, even though we don't want to maintain it.
Mm-hmm.
So with the rate decreasing, I think that's going to help with some of those empty nesters.
I mean, look, I can't help, one of the people I admire and follow in the real estate industry, Barbara Corcoran. Like,
oh yes,
the reality is the rents are still super high, and the rents are not predicted to go down that much. And even if they do, they're not going to be cut in half. And they're the highest rents that we've ever seen historically in our marketplace. Buy
Not
real
to
estate.
mention, you're
It's-
paying somebody else's mortgage, right?
Exactly. And the
Right.
You can
reality
build your
is
equity.
pay your own equity, not someone
Right.
else's. And I will
Right.
say the house doesn't have to be perfect. I think that it is true that, again, our buyers needs have changed, and I'll leave it at that. I think what has happened is back in the day, buyers were willing to do work. They had the skill set, they had the time, they had the pace was different. And now we live in such a high paced, kind of busy environment. And there's also lack of cash. So a lot of buyers are not willing to do as much work. So my advice for 2024 for sellers would be get your house as ready as you possibly can. And then for buyers, don't be too picky. And really figure out what payment can I afford and go for it, buy it, because you'll always have an opportunity to refinance, upgrade, whatever that's going to be. Okay.
I
Just get
agree.
in. Just get in.
Just
wherever
get
you
into
can.
the
Just get
market, like
into the
Barbara says,
market.
just get
Yeah.
in, yeah.
Everybody's always picking themselves because every year
Right.
they think they're waiting for, oh, prices are going to come down. They're never coming down that much.
No.
The only time they
No.
come down a little is maybe seasonally this time of year, but even that depends on the house.
I
And
mean, if
not
you
in the
look
sweet
at,
spot
is
either.
insulated.
The sweet
Yeah.
spot's selling for over 105% sale price to list price ratio. Those prices aren't coming down. The luxury
Right.
market might adjust.
Right.
guys,
The
the
sweet
reality
spot's
is
not.
like people keep, the doomsday people are like, the market is going to crash. Like the market is not, I mean,
Not gonna crash.
unless there's an unforeseen, again, but even
God
look what
forbid, right.
happened. Look what happened during a pandemic. During a
Mhm.
Right.
pandemic,
Mhm.
the market went through the roof because what do
Right.
people want the most? It's our
Right.
Shelter.
animal instinct. You want a house, you want a home
Right.
that you can live in. So, well, happy New Year.
Yes.
To you, much health, happiness in 2024, and we'll see you guys soon.
Yeah.
Thank
We're
you.
excited.
Thanks,
you.
Marsha. Thanks,
Yeah.
guys.
Thanks,
Thank you.
Marsha. Thanks, everyone. Nice
Thanks,
to see you.
guys.